Some stories no one remembers telling, yet everyone feels they have lived. There are mothers who teach with words loud as thunder, and there are those whose love hums like a needle at midnight. This is the story of Maria, and the invisible thread she wove into every life that followed her. Every stitch in the factory was a request for tomorrow, and a farewell to today. Maria was 23, pregnant, shoulders aching beneath humming machines. As sweat slid down her cheek and mixed with a tear, she leaned close to her swelling belly and whispered, "Little one, I'm hemming our courage." Years passed. At a scarred kitchen table, she finished a navy blue school uniform for her son. Inside the hem, she embroidered a tiny date, 12-03-87. She folded the fabric, placed it against the boy's chest, and said, "If you ever lose yourself, find this date." 6-year-old Gabriel beamed. "It's my birthday." Maria smiled. "And the day I learned that silence can be loud with hope." Late nights returned like tides. When Gabriel was 14, an assignment kept him awake with maps and glue. Maria cut continents from worn cloth and helped him paste a cotton Africa, a denim Europe, a velvet Brazil. Years later, he would confess, "I thought it was just craft, Mother. Now I know you were letting me feel the texture of the world." Time threaded forward. At 23, Gabriel won a scholarship in a distant city. On the station platform, he pleaded, "Come with me, Ma." Maria shook her head. "The house still needs me, son. Go, but come back whole." She pressed a hand-stitched kerchief into his palm, returned soon, and watched the train steal him away. Sacrifice changes clothes, but never leaves the stage. While Gabriel rose through mirrored boardrooms and mile-high spreadsheets, Maria's wrists stiffened with pain. The factory let her go. She strapped a brace around swollen tendons and began selling small pieces online. Linen hearts that read, "You are worth the wait." Payment was meager, but every order carried Gabriel a little farther from hunger she would never let him taste. Then came the corridor that smelled of disinfectant and fear. "Early Alzheimer's," the doctor murmured. "Memories may fade, but if you touch her, look into her eyes, she will know you in the heart." Gabriel laced his fingers through the calluses that had paid for his dreams. In her palm, deep creases formed a perfect M, Maria. Mother. He returned to her house, their house, where dust floated like tiny ghosts. In the attic, he found 3 boxes. The first, ledgers, columns of numbers, each sacrifice translated into notebooks, uniforms, dentistry, rent. Skip coffee out, plus 6 of Gabriel's notebooks. Repair shoes instead of buying, plus 2 entrance exam fees, the second 40. Letters never mailed. Every sheet began, "If today you feel you failed, read this." Ink wobbled where tears had dried. The third, small burlap sacks of parsley, coriander, basil. A note, "When I go quiet, plant my voice." He exhaled, then inhaled the oldest. "Dream of soil." Outside, an abandoned lot yawned beneath apartment shadows. Gabriel knelt, tore stubborn weeds, and pressed seeds into the earth. Neighbors watched, children joined, palms filthy with possibility. Maria shuffled beside him, confusion flickering across her gaze, then calm delight as dirt crumbled between her fingers. A girl of 7 squealed, "Miss Maria says roots are the earth's songs." Night fell. Maria wandered the hallway, eyes wide with fear. She recoiled from Gabriel. "Who are you? Where am I?" He opened one of her letters and read aloud, "When darkness comes, remember, I planted stars along your path. You only need to lift your eyes." Her breathing slowed. She leaned into his chest, listening to a heartbeat she'd first heard from the inside. Seasons revolved. The garden rose. Green parsley crowned rough boards, basil perfumed the alley, Coriander tickled the wind. Children learned measurements by dividing planter boxes, learned patience by counting sprouts, learned kindness by watching Maria smile at life she couldn't name. News spread. Gabriel, now a teacher, received the city's Transformative Educator award. He wheeled Maria onto the stage before a sea of bright faces. "My mother forgets my name," he began, voice trembling, "yet every student I guide speaks hers." He lifted an old wooden spool, the one she had twisted empty the day he was born. Audience members rose, some wiping tears, others clasping hands as if the thread passed through them too. That night he sat beside her bed, moonlight pooling like quiet water. From his pocket he drew a faded patch, half-stitched decades ago with a clumsy child's initials. He laid it on her lap. Maria traced the edge, fingertips sliding over rough thread, and whispered, "Thread, infinite." Her eyes drifted closed. Outside, somewhere, a cricket drummed in perfect rhythm with a sewing machine only she could still hear. Maria may no longer recall the color of days. Yet whoever tastes her herbs feels her courage. Whoever wears a donated uniform carries her date against the heart. And whoever listens, in the brief hush between life's collisions, hears needles invisibly stitching miracles. Because a mother's legacy needs no memory, only continuity. If your mother's quiet love ever clothed, fed, or sheltered you, share. The simplest, yet strongest memory she stitched into you, and pass this story on, so courage can bloom where silence still hurts.